Hey, this is Sreehari from Mr. Phone, and today I have one of the most popular phones launched in the last month. One of the three most popular phones launched in the last month, to be more precise. And today we're going to take a deeper look at the Realme X and look at 7 tips and tricks for the Realme X. There are a lot of people who are going to buy this phone, a lot of people who are waiting for this to come to be delivered to them. So for all of them, here are 7 tips and tricks for the Realme X. So without any further ado, let's jump into the video. Of course, before we do that, don't forget to subscribe to our channel because we make awesome videos, and also hit the bell icon right next to it because you're awesome and you want to know when we put out those awesome videos. So the tip number 1 for today is about the app drawer. Now for the people who've used smartphones from Chinese companies, Chinese ROMs, then you'll realize that generally all of them have apps all on the home screen. So this is how most of them look. You have this iPhone iOS-y type of look. That's in India for a long time we have been accustomed to app drawers, and that is something that still a lot of people do ask for, and that is why Realme has actually added the option to do an app drawer. What you have to do is simply long press on the home screen, go to the settings here, and the first option is home screen mode. So there you can choose between the standard mode, which is the one that we saw right now, and the drawer mode. Now for the drawer mode, you will have a standard app drawer and no apps on the home screen anymore, and that means much less clutter for someone like me and maybe a lot of you who like having an app drawer. You have this option. Now we move on to tip number 2, which is something that a lot of people who've used iPhones in the past know about, and that is a feature that I personally did miss in Android phones, and that is universal search or global search. And you do get that in the Realme X. Now that is not something that you'll have to go and enable because it's already on by default. So just one swipe down and you have access to all your apps. You can either go and choose the apps that you already use a lot, which is why they'll show up here, or if you want to search for another app, you just search for it, type your 3 first letters, and you already instantly get to the app. If you want to go to another app, again you have the same thing. So I think universal search is one of my favorite things in ROMs, in Chinese ROMs, because a lot of them have it, and the Realme X also has it. The good thing about universal search is that you can also use it to search a lot of other things as well. So even if you want to search, let's see, you want to search Mr. Phone, so you can just do that, go to the web page directly from that search tab and get to the Mr. Phone website. What you can also do is actually go and customize it. So you can go to settings, head over to additional settings, and in that you'll find a tab called search. You can add applications to it, which you already saw. You can also search through contacts, search through messages if you want, and browser that we saw again. And for the browser, you also have a choice between the default browser or the Chrome browser. So there is a lot of options for you here, and I think this is one of my favorite features on the Realme X software. Now moving on to tip number 3, this is talking about a new navigation mode. Now one of the first phones to popularize gestures was the iPhone X, and I remember actually talking about gestures and how important an aspect they were in the iPhone X when everybody else was talking about the notch. And rightly so, almost every other brand has copied not just the notch but also the gestures. And the Realme X also of course has gestures. You have the standard gestures, which is swipe up from the center for home, swipe up and hold from the center for recent key, but the back navigation has actually changed, and I think I like it better on the Realme X, and that is you go to the navigation keys in the settings and you'll find a third option. So the virtual keys and the swipe up gestures was something we already found on all other Realme phones, but the swipe up gesture from both sides. Now here, while the home gesture and the recent gestures stay the same, the back gesture actually changes. So this is how you go back. And this is a slightly more intuitive way of going back, I guess. So if you're using the phone with one hand, you can simply do a back like this, or even if you're a righty, you can do like that. So you have the option to do this. This is quite intuitive. We saw this with the MIUI 10 as well, but I think the fact that ColorOS 6 has implemented this in Realme X is really good, and that is the tip number 3. Now moving on to tip number 4, this is one of the things that is very exclusive to the Realme X among the Realme phones, because no other Realme phone has an AMOLED display, and I think you know what feature I'm talking about, and that is the always on screen. Now how do you activate the always on screen? You simply go to the settings, you go to display and brightness, and you go to something called off screen clock. That is the always on display name for Realme, for ColorOS. And what you do here is that you can turn that, if that is turned off, you can simply go and turn that on, and you can also schedule it. So this is scheduled for 6 AM in the morning to 12 AM in the night. I guess. So it's only off when I'm sleeping, which is fine, I guess, saves a lot of battery. But even having always on does not take a lot of battery, and that is because this is an AMOLED display. And for an AMOLED display, what it means that since every pixel is its own light source, only this part of the display is on and all the rest of it, which is black, is actually off, which means that only this much of the display is being used, which means a lot of battery is being conserved while making sure that you get time always when you want to know that. You have your time, your battery percentage and your date as well. Now the next tip is for the people who have kids who are new parents, probably want to restrict the smartphone usage for their children. You can do that using an inbuilt feature inside the Realme X. So what you have to do is simply go to settings, go to the security tab, and in that you'll find a tab called the Kid Space. Now when you go to the Kid Space, what you'll find is that you can actually customize a lot of things. So first thing is the timing. So you can see if you want to give the phone for 15 minutes, for 30 minutes, for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, unrestricted, it's all up to you. So let's choose 30 minutes. Then we go to the apps that are allowed. What that means is that only these apps will be allowed when you have the kids mode on. So I have the Apple Music, Asphalt 9, which is a game, PES, again football, which is a game, and YouTube. So only these 4 apps are something that I have restricted. You can also make sure that your cellular network is off. So for people whose kids go a lot on YouTube and watch those kiddie videos, I guess, what you can do is download them for offline viewing and just turn the cellular network off. Now what we'll do is we'll just enter the Kid Space, and what you'll realize is that now we only have access to those 4 apps, nothing else, no smart screen, no other apps, not even the notification panel is coming out. So what you'll realize is that I can simply only use these 4 apps to do whatever I want to do. And once that 30 minutes or 15 minutes is over, what you simply do is just you quit that Kid Space. If you want to do it before, you can do that. So what will happen is that once that 30 minutes is over, your phone will get locked by its own, and will need you or your fingerprint scanner to unlock the phone. Now coming to the next feature, this is a camera feature and something that might be useful for a lot of people. Now, the people who've bought the Realme X, or even the ones who are maybe waiting to buy it, might know that this one actually comes with a Sony IMX586 sensor, and that is a 48 megapixel camera. So the camera on this phone, the one that is a standard one, is a 48 megapixel camera. That said, when you do click pictures out of it, you'll realize that those pictures are not certainly 48 megapixels. They are 12 megapixels in fact. So you'll see 3000 into 4000 pixels, that is 12 megapixels. That is because there is a process called pixel binning that happens, that makes sure that you have saturated pixels with a lot of information, a lot of light, all of those things, but also have an image that can be easily shared everywhere. So you have that 12 megapixel image. Now that said, since you have a 48 megapixel camera, why not shoot 48 megapixel pictures? So there are people who want more resolution in their pictures. So of course you can do that. What you have to do is go to the camera, go to the settings tab, and go to photo ratio. Now that is probably an unassuming place for that 48 megapixel mode, but you have that 4:3 48 megapixel shot here. And now when you shoot that picture, you have a photo that is 6000 into 8000 pixels, if I'm not wrong. Yes, 6000 into 8000 pixels, that is 48 megapixels. So I can go this close into the picture if I'm taking that 48 megapixel, whereas here I cannot go that close. Now the next tip is probably one of the most useful tips in the Realme X. It's not as apparent as the other ones. It's not that easy to see that change, but I think it's one of the most useful ones, and that is how to get faster network speeds. Now this is something that everyone struggles with. Everyone wants fast network speeds. There's no two ways about it. It's not subjective, it's objective. You want faster network speeds. Now what do you do about that? You either have your data on or you have your Wi-Fi on. Even though you have faster data speeds, maybe it'll still stick to Wi-Fi in that case. If you have slower data speeds and slower Wi-Fi, then I don't know what you'll do. But what Realme does is very interesting. So if you go inside dual SIM and cellular network, there is something called dual channel network acceleration. Now what this does is very interesting. What this does is that it combines the internet from the Wi-Fi and the data, which means that it will combine your data speeds and the Wi-Fi speeds to give you a faster, stable network connection. Now this is very important to people who game for sure, because we know that when you're gaming, when you're with your pals, if you have a network drop, you're probably out of the game in that instant. And that is something that you can make sure doesn't happen with this. It'll only support these apps as of now. So you have Instagram, Chrome, Facebook, WhatsApp, Opera, and PUBG Mobile, which is good. You have a game there as well. So for the people who are going to play a tournament, maybe on PUBG or going to play a game, then you can actually make sure that you turn this on, turn your data and Wi-Fi both on, and make sure that you have a stable network connection. So those were 7 real useful tips and tricks for the Realme X. We know that we have a very tech literate audience on Mr. Phone channel, so we are sure that a lot of people would already know about some of these tricks. So if there were any new tricks that you did not know about already in this video, let me know in the comment section below, so that at least I know that you liked this video. And with that, I leave you to it. Also, let me know if you want to see such videos of other phones as well. We would love to make that for you. But with that, thank you so much for watching. This is Sreehari from Mr. Phone, and I'll catch you in the next one.